Hello and welcome back to the Nasty Metal Productions channel here on YouTube, and welcome to another Friday review. And today I am here to review Those Who Hunt at Night, the fourth full-length album from Savage Master, and was released on August 5th through Shadow Kingdom Records, and it is their second to be released on Shadow Kingdom Records. And you should know what previous album was. That was their, their debut on Shadow Kingdom Records. That, of course, was 2019's Myth, Magic, and Steel. Okay, so without further ado, though, let me get into my overall thoughts on Those Who Hunt at Night by Savage Master. Let's get into it, folks. Before I really get into my overall thoughts on Those Who Hunt at Night, you know what I have to do. I have to do a track listing rundown so I can tell you folks what are the songs are on this album, how many songs are on this album, and what's the time length for this album. And since we have at least 9 songs here, it all clocks in at the length of 35 minutes and 50 seconds. So these 9 songs are beginning with Hunt at Night, which is technically the title track here, Eyes Behind the Stars, Rain of Tears, Spirit of Death, A Warrior's Return, The Hangman's Tree, Queen Satan, Vaster Empires, and then finally ending with The Death of Time. So there's your 9 songs. Now, I'm going to be upfront with you. You probably are very much surprised that it took me this long to finally review an album from Savage Master here on my channel. Since I've been, doing reviews since, 2015 or 16, I really got the ball rolling, in 2016. It's just surprising that it took me this long, because I don't think I've ever reviewed an album from Savage Master, even though I've known about Savage Master for a very long time. Since they formed, actually. So since 2013, of course, 2014, saw their debut full-length album, Mask of the Devil. That's how long I've known about these guys. And the only thing I actually own from Savage Master is, of course, the Thunder and Steel Down Under, tribute to Riot album that Skull Records had released, which I gotten free from, of course, the guy who runs Swords and Chains, records, the website, and Store Envy. Which of course features a cover, from Savage Master, where they're doing Swords and Tequila. It features their cover of Swords and Tequila from Riot on that comp, which again is a tribute to Riot. But that's the only thing that I own that's Savage Master, because I didn't really go out and actually buy anything from Savage Master, and I don't think I've ever really took a lot of time to really listen to an entire album from Savage Master, as far as I can remember. But I've listened to songs here and there, and I've at least did my best to keep up with them in hopes to actually be surprised in a way, because of, this is where I'm going to be really honest with you. As much as I admire some of those aspects about Savage Master, where they're being, female fronted, and some of the lyrics about, for Savage Master, and here and there the gimmick and stuff, there's parts of it that I can admire. But at the same time, when it came to a lot of other sort of female fronted metal bands that come out of the, the new wave or traditional heavy metal movement, Savage Master for some reason didn't click with me in the same way, let's say, like Substratum, especially with the voice of Amy Lee Carlson. And of course, that's why I follow Solicitor and everything. That's why and there's other bands that was, Satan's Hollow was another one that I really kind of dug. That was, female fronted. And of course, I like the band, was it Zenitaph, I think they're called. I can't remember, what was it? I think I got right here next to me. I got, was it Zenitaph? Yes, it is Zenitaph. The band that did the Rock is the Force album, which I own. I know they released an album this year, which is their second full-length album, but there's just a few other sort of, female-fronted metal bands that came out of this, new wave or traditional metal movement that I think moved me better than Savage Master, and I don't want to come across as being mean in a way. It's just that it's just my overall taste and what I look for in a metal band, especially of a female fronted metal band. Not to say that there's anything wrong with Stacy Savage's voice. It's just that compared to others, I felt like something was lacking there to an extent. Like, not enough to really kind of make me like, oh yeah, I need to go and get that. And it really is because of, I wanted, there's parts of me that almost wanted to buy more of their stuff, especially buy an album and everything, especially from like that period of like 2016 to 2017 where guys I have followed, especially on, let's say, part of the vinyl community. I'm not going to name any names, but there's just a lot from these channels that you may have an idea of if you follow some of the channels in the vinyl community, especially during the time of 2016 and 2017. And even to this day, they were hyping the hell out of Savage Master to the point where they said that, or claimed to have made that they were one of their favorite of this movement. And again, it's their personal preference, it's their personal opinions to, to hold Savage Master as one of their favorites. But personally, to me, I could never say that because of, as much as I kind of respect and admire the gimmicks and the just the overall style there, and as much as I can appreciate those aspects of Savage Master, nothing really kind of hit me the same way that I think other female-fronted metal bands from the sort of movement, did it for me. And I'm just being really honest with you about that. And so when it came to finding albums, though, since I've to review for this week, I decided, you know what? Let me give this new Savage Master album an actual listen. Let me actually listen to it, and let's see whether my mind has. Let's see if my mind has changed. Let's say maybe it can change my mind. In a way. But let's see how I feel towards this new album from these guys. Savage Master. Let me see how it does for me. And from the opening song, Hunt at Night, to, of course, the very final song, I was a little bit surprised. Compared to everything else that I've heard from Savage Master, to me, I feel that for those who hunt at night, I don't always get stuck with saying for those, because of it's very self-explanatory about what album that I might actually be referring to, but it's just that I've been so used to just saying the words for those whenever a band tries and uses that kind of wording for their album. But I would be just really honest with you that for the first time I can say that the Savage Master album might actually be one of my favorites so far. Especially when it comes to brand new albums from this year, and to just especially when it comes to this band alone, I'm definitely shocked, and I'm actually really think that this might be the one that really kind of really gets me to really buy more of their albums. At least go in and actually add their albums to my collection, I think, is a better way to phrase it. That's a better way wording to use. There's just something about this one that just did it for me than anything else I've heard from Savage Master. There's something about Those Who Hunt at Night that clicks with me better than the other ones did for me, because I would listen to a song here and there from some of the previous albums, like, whether it be like Mask of the Devil or With Whips and Chains, or even like Myth, Magic, and Steel, any of the songs off of there. I think compared to those, the songs I think on Those Who Hunt at Night just seem to move me better than any of those. It just clicks with me, and that's really beginning with the first song. Again, the one that opens up the album, Hunt at Night, which is pretty much the title track. As I really listened to the riff and everything for the song, I knew it sounded familiar. It's a very familiar riff, especially its structuring. It's very familiar. And I kept thinking Grim Reaper because it reminds me of something that would be, wouldn't be out of place off like Fear No Evil. Again, rest in peace to Steve Grimmett. So it just sounded very similar to that. But then as I kept, it finally came to me what song that the riff to, Hunt at Night reminds me of. And that's almost like a twisted take on like the Heading Out for the Highway song, Judas Priest. It kind of has a similar riff pattern to it. And the way that it's played. It's a little similar structure. But yet it's a little bit more differently played. Like it's almost more darker to an extent. Like if Judas Priest might have recorded Heading Out for the Highway or Heading Out to the Highway or whatever, if they had recorded the song as part of their 70s period in a way. So it kind of has a sort of 70s Priest vibe to a bit. Of course, a bit of that Grim Reaper kind of feel to it. Again, something that wouldn't be too out of place, let's say, off like the Ebony Records label. So it kind of has that sort of mid-period British metal aesthetic to this song. And that's where I think why it clicks with me better. And the production also, and some of the guitar riffing, the guitar solos. To me, they just sound a lot more tighter on this song. And I think that's one thing too, is that they were very loose sounding earlier. And it was a little bit kind of sloppy at times. But I think with this one, they sounded like they really kind of got a lot of things more tighter. Like the musicianship and the construction and the way everything just is constructed onto the actual songs. It just feels like a more tighter performance. That they somehow seem to really feel even more comfortable playing and everything. Everything is just a lot more edged out. And that's really, again, I really felt that with the first song. Then, of course, some of the songs off the album from me, like Spirit of Death. And, and of course, The War's Return. Queen Satan is a really cool track, too. And, of course, Reign of Tears. I really love Reign of Tears. The way it begins with almost with the rain sound effect. And then finally, when it actually gets in, it almost get really very... It's a very slow, almost kind of real dark, kind of almost very atmospheric kind of guitar riff as it plays there. I like the sort of cadence that it has there. It's almost methodical, and I like that it begins that way. And then when it actually goes in the actual song, we get a really cool sort of galloping metal song. And I do get plenty of sort of galloping metal songs, like Eyes Behind the Stars. And a Warrior's Return kind of has, even though it's a little bit more of a slower song, I like kind of has a very epic pacing to it. The Hangman's Tree is another one, Vaster Empires, and The Death of Time. These ones just come across as very more like epic kind of metal. It's like, it just has more of those epic qualities that you expect from some of these kind of U.S. metal bands from back in the 80s. It kind of has that aesthetic going on. Instead of going for like the Metal Blade style, this one kind of goes for something you expect, let's say like any of the Metal Storm labels, any of the offshoot, sister or brother labels to like Metal Storm, for example there. It gives me that kind of vibe there, and I really dig it. There's this, to me, everything clicks better with me on this sound than anything they did before, and I think the production's great. The recording's a lot more tighter sounding, and I think even Stacey Savage, I think, comes across as even more. I think she gives off a better performance on this one than I think compared to the other releases. It's like I think that they really kind of push themselves a little bit more on this one to kind of make a more what would be considered a more tighter metal album with a bit more technicality, I guess you can say. Because of the fact that there are certain songs, like for example, probably like, Eyes Behind the Stars or Reign of Tears, where they almost have, at times it gives me a little bit like Iron Maiden vibes, and I do get like almost, for example, like Flash of the Blade, off of Power Slave. I get a lot of those aspects going on, and that's what really kind of draws me to some of these songs on the album. I just think that they're all very much tightly written songs, and I think even that they kind of I feel like they even kind of turned themselves a little bit away from the typical kind of Satan lyrics of the past albums. It's like they kind of broaden out a little bit. I really get from here, and I actually think that that's a pretty not a bad move on their part. And not that I'm against any bands that got more satanic themed, because of I'm not overly religious to begin with, or Christian, whatever, you know, I'm not. But somehow it can get overplayed to an extent. The overall concept can get played to death to an extent. So I have no problem with bands that try and go out of their way to kind of step out of that comfort zone and go into something that might be more different, subterranean level there, you know, something that might be out of their wheelhouse, to try something different in terms of lyrics, in terms of song ideas. And I give props to Savage Master for doing that with songs like A Warrior's Return, or Rain of Tears, or even, especially Rain of Tears was a really good track off of here. And Eyes Behind the Stars, maybe that could have a little bit satanic themes going on, but it sounds different. It's just a lot more different on this one. But there's some really great guitar soloing here. There's some really good musicianship. I think it's just an overall tighter album from beginning to end, and I really dig Those Who Hunt at Night, so it's a solid album for me. So that's all I can really say there. It's a really good album. So there you go, folks. That's my overall thoughts on Those Who Hunt at Night by Savage Master. I know I went on quite a bit. I needed to kind of give you some reasons for why it took me a very long time to really review an album from Savage Master. And so to give you my rating for Those Who Hunt at Night, I'm giving it a 9.05 out of 10. I think it's a really good album from beginning to end. Is it the most mind-blowing thing in the world? No, it isn't. But is it a really enjoyable and fun album to listen to? Fuck yes, it is. It's a really enjoyable album from beginning to end, and I actually think it's probably one of their best records so far. And after this album, I'm definitely going to be looking forward to reviewing more from them in the future, such when it comes to brand new releases. And I'll definitely be going backwards and really kind of giving some of those other albums a really full listen, you know, to give them my full attention in some way or form, you know. So there you go. So there you go. Those Who Hunt at Night. Really good album from these guys. And there you go. I hope most of the members, if they watch this review or whatever, hopefully they in a way like what I had to say. Hopefully they respect what I had to say to begin with. So again, because of I think they did a good job with this album. So there we go. If you haven't listened to Those Who Hunt at Night, because I know most of you might have had, you can leave those comments in the comment section below. If they are at least positive or negative, you can leave them. But if you haven't listened to Those Who Hunt at Night, it should be on, of course, the New Wave for traditional, you know, heavy metal full albums channel on YouTube. But you could probably find this at maybe one of your record stores or online. It's not that difficult to find. So there you go. Check it out. I think it's worth a listen. I'll probably leave you a link to the Bandcamp page as much as I can. You know, I can do my best for that. So there you go. Hope all of you enjoyed. This is Heavy Thrasher saying I'm out, and I'll see you all later. Take care, everyone.